What's up everyone, Vu of Envu Films, and I am back with another idiotic video for you to watch. And today's idiotic video has been completely clickbait for some of you, and I'm sorry about that if you're clickbaited into this video because you saw the word Spider-Man and you saw Spider-Man in the thumbnail. That was my goal, was to clickbait you into watching this video. With that said, since you're here, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like useless camera content. But let's get to the subject at hand. So I filmed this wedding with my second shooter, co-cinematographer, a7SIII Park. We had the opportunity to travel to Georgia. We are from the Washington, D.C. area, so we had to travel to Georgia to film this wedding. It was a Christmas-themed wedding, and as you can see, there was Spider-Man, and it was very cool. But it was very challenging because the challenge was, obviously, we had to travel, so we had to make sure that we only carried a certain amount of gear. And two, it was raining all day, and the bride and groom didn't want to do a first look during the day, and obviously we couldn't do that outside. The ceremony was completely indoors, and of course with Christmas lights, it was very dim. That required us to have to light the ceremony and figure that out on the go because I did somewhat of poor planning. I wasn't quite expecting the ceremony to be that dark prior to showing up. So yeah, on the fly, we had to figure out how we're gonna light the ceremony. And of course, the rest of the couple portraits weren't outside like most of my other wedding films, because I'm a, tube doucher, wedding videographer douchebag that loves sunsets, natural light video, slow motion, all of that goodness that you see in my douchey wedding videography. So with regards to that, we had to get creative with lighting, and I will talk about how we went about doing that. First of all, I'm going to talk about how we traveled. We just carry our backpacks in two of these cases, and our backpacks have all of our cameras, our lenses, our gimbals, whatever, and our cases has the tripods and our lights. So my tripods of choice are these a7SIII tripods. They are ST124 and ST125, and broken down like this. This is actually the longer version. The S25 is a shorter version, but the S24 is the longer version. This fits into your carry-on luggage as is, like this. And I separated the fluid head. The fluid head just screws on like so, but I separated the fluid head, put it in the box, and I separated, and I just put this into the carry-on luggage on one side, and they actually fit stacked, because right now I can show you I'm using my other tripod for this video, but they fit stacked into your carry-on. And this is actually the same tripod I use for local weddings. So essentially as I mentioned in other videos, my setup for travel weddings and local weddings are exactly the same. It's just a matter of me hopping on a plane and carrying some extra clothes, filming it, and flying back home. Our lighting setup is pretty much small light stands like this. This is also just a Matthews travel size light stand. We gaff tape it down to the floor to make sure it doesn't fall over, but they fit into a carry-on luggage. And for this wedding, I carried two of these lights also in that same case. These are Kane TV Bolton 55 watts. This is the older model. They have a newer model out. They could be plugged in, which is what we usually do. And when we have to be portable with it, you just put in this Sony NP battery and you could use it battery powered. During the ceremony, very challenging, obviously, because most of the time we're doing, ceremonies are usually pretty bright outside. But in this case, there was a lot of backlight from the Christmas lights. As they're walking down the aisle at the beginning of the wedding, there's no light on the subjects walking. So we had to use a light to light them somehow. So this is what I did. I actually just had two of these lights in my backpack, and essentially this is a Bowling P1 RGB LED light, battery powered inside. They last for like a few hours on full blast. So I just put it like this. I gaff taped it to a snow machine light stand that the couple had set up for like their snow effects when they were finished after their first kiss. And that's what I used. I put it there in the back to light the aisle as people were walking down the aisle in the beginning of the wedding. And it also served as a pretty nice little backlight during the actual ceremony as it was happening. The two King TV Bolton lights were set up in the back of the ceremony, pointing towards the center of the ceremony to light the main subjects during the ceremony, which was the bride and the groom, and also it helped light them when they did their first kiss and started walking down the aisle together. So that is how we lit the ceremony. And with that said, even with all that in terms of dimness, I find myself going into ISO 12800 in Sony a7S3 S-Log3 quite a bit. So this is why in my previous video I said the Sony a7S3 is still the low light king for all uses compared to like the new a7 IV. It's because in S-Log3 you can get up to 12,800 exposed properly for S-Log3, which is 1.7 to 2 stops over. So you get a nice clean image, no noise, versus an a7 IV. The second ISO, the second clean ISO on the a7 IV is 3200 ISO, which is very hard for you to get to that plus 1.7, plus 2 in low light situations in comparison to a7S III. So with the couple shots, which was just outside in the dark, and we usually use mist filters on our lenses. We didn't do this time because obviously it was raining. There's a lot of mist and fog outside, so we just used that as our mist, our natural mist, and we set up lighting behind them to get a nice little backlight action during their like romantic couple shots. And so we actually just used this King TV Bolton on the light stand with a battery just outside to light them to get our creative couple shots. And then during like the fireworks session, we actually put a light, we actually used the same light and just, shined it at the couple just enough to get them to pop from the background. And other than that, we just used a7S3 ISO 12800. I think I was using a 50mm f1.2 GM. I kept it at f1.4. Say Park, he was using a 24mm GM. He kept it at f1.4, and we just used this light and obviously just let the fireworks light them in the front when we had to get their reaction shots of the fireworks. And I think it worked out great. It worked out nicely for us. And that is how we filmed a wedding where we had to pretty much run and gun and try our best to light the ceremony and what have you to get like the best image, get the best footage for the wedding couple. And obviously for to make sure that even though like 95% of our weddings, we get some outdoor shots, some couple shots during the day, we still wanted to make sure that everything that we got in this film, even though the situations weren't necessarily ideal, that it still lived up to the quality and the artistry of our brand, Envu Films. And that's how we pulled it off. With wedding filmmaking, you have to be adaptive, you have to be fast, you have to make really quick decisions, and and you have to obviously have the gear that helps you work through these challenges. And that's why I use Sony a7S III for its versatility, its ISO performance, its autofocus, the lens selection, always have a gimbal ready, always be on gimbal, and of course having nice portable, quick, easy to set up lighting, whether it be this full-blown Fresnel light with focusing, or just these small compact LED lights that we always have on us and is always ready to go, turn on in a moment's notice, last for a few hours, and is quite inexpensive. Links in the description below, obviously, for all these items. You don't have to get this exact light. You could use pretty much any LED light. I just use this one because I know, I've used it the longest and I know how long the battery lasts. So I have confidence that it'll last an entire ceremony and then the rest of the evening without having to charge. And at pretty much full blast, 100% output. And so yeah, that is how we filmed this low light Christmas wedding with Spider-Man in it. Hope this video was informative and helpful. If you like this kind of douchey content, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, till next time, lighten up.